Um, okay, well done. We've got the recording started. So good morning, Ty. Gary Knapp here. I'd like to start the ball rolling to tap into your expertise this morning by asking you, I mean, I'm always a great believer in asking questions. Questions are the answer. And whenever I have a new prospect, really get stuck into asking lots of questions and digging into where their challenges lie. But there obviously comes a point where you then flip over to actually giving them the information that you feel is most appropriate. And we all have these fantastic PMWs, the personal Manatech websites. My question to start the ball rolling is, at what point do you bring in Manatech into the frame? What information do you send prior to that? Do you keep Manatech at the background and then finally send them to your PMW? And what's your process in that order?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my thought process is the question thing is absolutely right on track as far as I'm concerned. The slight change that I would make is that I bring up the solution as opposed to Manatech, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the majority of people that I work with these days, I focus more on customers than distributors personally, because I feel like if you build a large customer base, it is more steady than building a distributor base in today's marketplace. And plus, with changes in in the US with what the FTC is doing, and I know they're very similar in Australia in terms of how stringent they are on requirements to be a distributor. And Manatech has never had this to be a big issue because the products were so great that they really spoke for themselves. But I like to let a person volunteer their information and their want, need, or desire before I hone in on it. So, for example, if I am having a conversation with someone on Facebook Messenger, and what made me send them a message was something that they said about their health potentially in their post, then I'm going to ask questions and get to a point where they are essentially asking for a solution. Like, oh, you said that you were having trouble sleeping. Well, Manatech happens to have a sleep product, and I don't know they're going to have it very much longer, but there's other products that help with sleep for sure in the Manatech realm of products. So I would then, that's when to present, in my opinion, when someone really basically raises their hand and say, I have a desire to buy something, right? Or to fix this ailment or fix this particular issue. Same with the business side of things. I don't present the information until I get a real understanding of what that person needs. A lot of times we put the cart before the horse. So mentally we're going, I'm going to recruit that person into my business. And the reality is that works for a very small portion of people. They have to be ready. And I'll tell you this quick story. Back in, I'm going to date myself, the very end of 1991, when I was 21 years old, about to turn 22.
Last century.
Exactly. I got prospected for a business. Someone called me and they used a script that I had heard 6 months earlier verbatim. So that person, and I would put those two people that approached me on really the same level of my feelings toward them. In other words, of credibility is probably the best way to say it. And because of that, what the only thing that was different was me, where I was at in my life. So we approach people and assume that they're going to be at the same place or the place we think they should be, which is, oh yeah, I would love to get into the Manatech business. When in reality, few people are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to get into a business. But through a conversation, through questions, and through really truly listening to what other people are saying, we can then figure out whether we have a solution to their problem. Sometimes, what I do is Manatech or our company opportunity may not be a solution for that other person. The solution for that other person could be that, hey, by the way, I know for a fact that UPS, which is a postal delivery service, is hiring people temporarily for the Christmas season, and they're paying $29 an hour right now. And you are about to be kicked out of your apartment. Well, I'm not going to present a Manatech solution to that person, because one, when you're desperate to cling onto your apartment and maybe your car and whatever, you're not really thinking about the possibilities of what can be accomplished in network marketing, or you shouldn't be, because if I'm pressured to develop a $2,000 a month income in the next 3 weeks, that's a lot for someone who hasn't experienced creating that in the past. So the solution may not be Manatech, but that's the true art of networking. When you say, oh, by the way, I know that this company, because I've got a friend of mine who works there, I know for a fact they're hiring, and they're going to be hiring a ton of people, and you can deliver packages for them in your own car, and it costs, and they'll pay $29 to $30 an hour, which in our area for that kind of a job is insanely good. I'm trying to think of it, how much it is in Australian money, but we're certainly different. But it's a good wage for sure, especially for someone starting out with no experience in anything. So what that solution is, I don't even know, but I'm looking to have conversations with people and help them with whatever problem they've got. Sometimes it's going to be Manatech product. Sometimes it could be the Manatech business. Sometimes it might be something else. But if you do that on a consistent basis and just be a go-giver, in other words, you're giving your best to people, you're going to find that your business is going to grow without a doubt. That makes sense?
It does. Absolutely. Yes.
And then you got a second part to your question is, where do I send them? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have created my own presentation outside of the Manatech program, because there's some things that I do differently than the corporation does. Right. I like to put my own stamp. Generally speaking, I think when you get to a particular level, you want to put your own kind of stamp on your business. And I've done that at this point. I created my own presentation, but some people, it's not that I have never used the presentation that Manatech does. I think there's some fantastic ones. I still use those on occasion, but generally speaking, I've done a 20-minute presentation. I've also done like a 60-minute type thing where depending on the person, I'll send them to one or the other. And I think presentations, should change on a fairly regular basis as well too. We live in a different society than we did even 6 months ago, particularly if you live in Australia. From what I'm seeing on the news and everywhere else, it's a vastly different arena to play in. So I want to be as up to date and clear as possible on my presentation with people, and throw in some tricks and fun stuff in there too.
I think I can give a good example, Ty. We live off the grid and have a beautiful property, and recently listed our property on a site called Hip Camp, which allows people to come and camp on our property.
Oh, sweet.
That obviously gives me the opportunity, when we're not in lockdown, that is, gives me the opportunity to meet new people. And we had a couple come and stay last weekend, and I obviously check them in and show them to the site where they can put their tent or their van or whatever they're using. And I noticed on the side of her car that she had a nutrition business on the side of her car. And I just said, oh, that's interesting. Tell me, what do you do? Which is question I ask most people that come. Not straight off the bat, obviously. You've got to build up a bit of a rapport first. And she told me about her business, and I said, wow, how's that been affected by the the COVID situation? She said, well, it's on its knees. She was consulting direct face-to-face with people, and obviously hasn't been able to do that. So rather than jump in and say, oh, I've got a nutrition business that could really help you, and it's, blah, 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 blah. That's the point where I believe that you start to dig down deeper, and you start to build up and find out what the problems that she was facing. So I asked more questions, and oh, well, if you can't talk to people face to face, what are you doing about that? She said, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do at this point. And then I kind of pitched myself as a consultant. So she immediately, her ears then pricked up, and I said, well, I actually, what I do from here, I work from home as a business and marketing consultant, and I help small businesses like yourself to, get over these problems that small businesses are facing these days. Perhaps we should have a chat, and just see where that takes us. So drop in at the house on your way out, and we'll make a time. And so we organised the time to talk, which was yesterday, and I set that time at half an hour. So even though I had all day up my sleeve, I said, I've got a half an hour slot. And that was the length of our meeting. And again, the whole conversation yesterday was just asking questions about her business. How did you get started? What was your background? What was your interest in getting into nutrition? How were you getting your customers before? And all these things, and frantically sort of writing notes and taking down notes. And I said, well, we're coming up to the end of our half an hour. That would have been a time when I could have said, pitch Manatech, but I didn't. I just followed that main rule, get the next meeting, have the next meeting. So thanks for answering all my questions. I'll have a think about it. I'll go and have a look at your website. I'll do a little bit of research, and then maybe I can come up with some solutions the next time we talk. When would be a good time to catch up? So made the next appointment. And so developing the problem and finding out what her major issues were and what her dreams for the future were. Is your dream to have your own business? Is your dream to be in nutrition? How do you see that working for you in the future? And it was half an hour of building up the problems. Now with my next meeting, I can start to sort of say what I think might be some solutions from a marketing and a business point of view, without even mentioning Manatech at this stage.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to go. In my case, I might have done it slightly different, because when someone says that, see, I'm looking for the problem, right? And when they tell it to me and I know I've got the solution, that's when I give them the solution, right?
Yeah.
So like, I did an event in New York City with Al and a couple of other leaders recently. And it was basically a booth at an event that was meant for entrepreneurs that are looking to, find products to sell online. Manatech fits right in there. The issue that we had was I have a brand new grandson. Actually, they're staying at my house right now, which is another blessing. But I missed a previous event they had in Las Vegas 3 weeks before that. Grandson born, so I missed that event. But so what happened was we had a booth, but there was no real focus of the booth. My thought process was, okay, so we're at an event where people are, pitching their products. Essentially, we don't have a single Manatech product in the booth. We don't have much information at all. And I felt like when you have someone like all those products there, all those people looking for products to sell, and we could have positioned ourselves as an amazing solution to their problem, because here's their problem. So most of the booths were CBD, marijuana, right? Which is a fantastic product, in my opinion. However, how do you sell it online? Do you use Amazon? No. Do you use Shopify? No. Do you use create your own website and try to find a merchant account? I know I'm getting technical here, but and create a merchant account so you can get paid through the merchant account? No, there's no merchant account that's going to take CBD at this point. So all these people think that they were going to sell CBD online, create their own brand, and yet it was almost an impossibility. In other words, stacked a million times against them for what they could possibly accomplish. So at that point, it's really, really easy the person says, I want to create my brand online, or I want to make money online. I want to create a brand. I'm like, okay, fantastic. Let's talk about that. When they say, I'm looking at CBD, I say, cool. What do you know about selling it on Amazon? What do you know about selling it on here? What do you about say? Oh, nothing. Well, I'll save you some time. You can't. So they come to this big show looking for a solution, and the solution that they think was there is unattainable, which opens the door wide for Manatech. So when that person said to you, I hope you don't mind some personal coaching, right? Is that okay?
No,
I don't want to. Okay. When that person said to you, I have really, my business is tanked because I was meeting people face to face. Boom. Guess what? My business has grown by over 50% in the last 12 months. And I'm in the nutrition business as well, too. And I'm actually looking for brand ambassadors or other people to work with. Would you be interested in taking a look? Then we're right into the meat and guts of Manatech.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, the consultative approach for sure. But when they tell you exactly what you're looking for, that's when you present. Right there and then. Wham.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Ty.
Yeah.
I'll hand back over to Diana now, because we've actually got some more questions coming in, and I don't want to take too much time. So
thank you, Gary, and thank you, Ty. Some really meaty coaching there out of that dialogue. So thank you. I'm sure everyone's benefit. I do have a couple of other questions. So I've got Stefan. I've tried to promote him to panelist, but it's been difficult. So I'm just going to allow you to talk if I can, Stefan. Otherwise, I'll ask your question for you. See if you can talk now, Stefan, and address the question to.
All right.
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, so my question was when you're like talking in regards to putting your own stamp on like your business, um, to promote yourself in that way, like I feel that's where I want to go to start off with. But would you recommend going that far as like creating your own business name and logo and website and marketing materials and all that sort of stuff?
Good question. So I would say be very, very careful of doing things that are not income producing in your business, as long as your goal is to produce income. I should say. Some people, their goal in Manatech is to spread the gospel of Manatech and help as many people achieve results with the products, which is fantastic. Okay. My goal is to make money and do the good things. I like the great. I mean, I really love the fact that I'm helping people with their health and we're feeding millions of children around the world and all the great things that Manatech provides. But when it comes to the income producing things, that's what I focus on until I'm to a particular level. So when I got started for multiple years, I relied on the presentation that my upline had for years, and I still do on occasion. And when I can get them to translate from Australian to English, right? Numbers and also language on occasion. My buddy, James Hannon, the most fantastic upline a guy could ever pray for. And I'm so blessed. And he just puts up with me all the time. And I reward him with volume. So it's a mutual beneficial situation. But, he would say a phrase and I'm like, I think I'm well versed in Australian language. I have no idea what you just said, though. I don't even know what that means. So presentations can be different, but overall, his presentation was not only better than mine for years, but also I didn't have to take time away from producing to create it. So when it comes to logo and website and all that stuff, no way would I take unless I'm earning, unless I'm maybe a presidential, probably would I look to do that kind of thing, in my opinion. Rely on your upline. If your upline doesn't have it, keep going upline until you find someone that does, and you'll find a presentation.
Great counsel. Thank you, Ty. Does that answer your question, Stefan?
Yeah, I just struggling to know how to start off with and that sort of thing. But yeah.
So think about when you're thinking about how to start with. Okay, so what produces income in Manatech? Talking to people, following up with those people, getting them to presentations, doing maybe we used to call them three-way calls, but really they're three-way chats now on Facebook at times. So when you do those things on a regular basis, basically put people into your funnel. And when I say your funnel, these are people that you're connecting with in order to talk to them about the business or the products. And when you don't know what to do next, that's when you contact your upline. And again, if your upline doesn't know, then you find if you are willing to put in the work, someone in your upline is willing to help you. You may have to continue up the ladder a little bit till you get to Ray Robbins, maybe, which is, I think, he's the person I work with most closely after James Hannon, because he's in the US and our time zones line up and that kind of thing. But I work with James on a very regular basis. But if I didn't have an active upline, I would seek one out because it's that important. One is to give you guidance in terms of what to do next specifically for your business. And two, when you have someone new that you've talked to and you want to expose to the business, I did this literally. I personally enrolled over 100 people in 9 months. And all I did, I never did a presentation at one time. All I did was get them on the phone with my upline. I went and found the people, but all I did was get them on the phone with my upline, and he took it from there. Okay. That's the key, is get the people in your funnel and move them through the process and expose them to, here's the thing. When I was initially getting started, I wanted to feel like I was an important cog in the wheel, an important piece of the puzzle when it comes to building my business. So I wanted to create a logo, create a business card, create these things that made me feel like I was, like this kind of not a big shot, but part of the thing. And it kept me poor for a long time, because instead of just utilizing the system that was there and taking advantage of my upline who had more experience than I did, I tried to be the system myself. Did not work very well. And so you want to enroll 100 people in the next 9 months, put them on the phone with your active upline and watch the magic happen, or via Facebook chat or whatever, so, Zoom call, whatever it is, right? Whatever the tool is these days. The magic will happen when you take advantage of the system in that way and funnel people into it. I love it when someone on my team says, Ty, I need to know what to do next. Tell me what to do. That's the person I know I can work with. And if they will listen, they're going to make a lot of money. Not because I'm great, but I just been around this industry long enough to know that if a person goes through the process of enrolling a certain number of people and working with those people and onboarding their new folks, for a 30-day onboarding session where they're talking to you bring your upline into that situation and they're talking to your new folks every couple of days for 30 days to get them started. And the goal in the first week is to enroll one. Think about this. If you went to the people that have told you, within the last year or so that they wanted to do something and help them enroll one new customer or one new associate in the next 7 days, think about where your business would be. I mean, we would have massive growth in Australasia. It would be amazing. So it's really all about the income producing things that you do on a daily basis, and not so much about like the details, if you will, right? I want to make a mess and have my upline help me clean it up, if that makes sense.
So that's wonderful coaching about relying on the system, Ty. Stefan, are you in touch with your upline, a upline support person active?
In my direct upline, not really, but I probably could go to
reach up further. Yes, so you could, if you don't know who is up further, you could ring Manatech Corporate or Manatech Customer Service to seek out who that is, and then reach out to them. And I think Ty will say, well, he's just said, when someone reaches out to us as business leaders, we're delighted, we're excited as active, committed business people to support people in our organisation who want to be out there and sharing the message. Yeah. Okay. So great question, really helpful question, Stefan, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got a question from Kel, and I'll just allow her to talk. It seems to be the best method today.
Yeah, I like to hear their voice. It's really cool.
Yeah. So, Kel, did you get that request? Are you able to speak?
Yes, I did. Thank you so
awesome.
much. This is brilliant so far, I have to say. Ty, I think you may have answered my question already when you said you've got basically a 60-minute presentation you send someone, or a 20-minute one. I just get frustrated because I just would love a presentation or presentations that address all personalities types, because I get frustrated with the long ones, because obviously I'm a driver. So would you recommend creating one that encompasses all, or a separate one for each personality, or am I overthinking things?
I would say overthinking.
Okay.
There is, if a person is ready,
Yeah.
a 3-hour presentation is not too long, to be honest.
Right.
If they are not ready, a 5-minute presentation is
Right.
too long.
Okay.
It just goes back to the story I said. I had the exact same invite.
Yeah.
Within 6 months. One, I said no, not interested, and the other said, "Yeah, I'll be there Tuesday night or whatever."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was.
Yeah.
And driving there, it was funny enough with my wife. I said, "Okay, if this is selling fire extinguishers or a particular company, we're not going to do it." And it was the particular company, and we did it.
Wow.
Because we were ready for it.
Yeah.
You're
Gotcha.
not in the convincing business. You're in the in the showing business, and people will come around.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Kelly.
Thank you.
So I haven't seen any other questions come through. I'll just check.
Dana, while you're doing that, I might comment.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Sharon.
I
Sharon's found her way in by hook or by crook.
Yay.
Oh my God, this is commitment. But anyway, I just wanted to point out, especially, we obviously don't have time to go deep into Stefan's specific situation, but there's lots of people who, for whatever reason, like not compatible or long distance, or, their upline changed their mind and gone on to something else, or whatever reason, where people don't have a close upline support. A lot of people in Australasia, particularly, I can't speak for other regions, are connecting crossline with different groups and creating a team environment where multiple leaders support the systems and the teaching and the connection and like weekly connections. So I know about 8-10, I think it might have been 10 or 12 years ago, I was in that situation, and I just at that time, I put a Facebook message out. Anybody want to connect to build a crossline team support system? And at that time, Kelly said yes. And we've gone on to create there's probably 6 or 7 different teams in that. And we meet every week. We provide system, answer questions. We all do our best and set up, what Ty is talking about, like real basic, anybody can do and anybody can duplicate systems.
Love it.
And that's been a support for us. So there's lots of ways to get around feeling like you don't have anyone, or whether real or imagined, or whatever situation might be.
Yeah, we used to, we call it 3-way calls, but also there's a third party validation, and it's really science. And that's if you bring in an expert from the outside into your call, or Zoom or whatever it could be, your likelihood of them listening to that person is extremely high, especially if you set it up properly and things like that. And I've done 3-way calls hundreds of times with Crossline because my upline may not have been available. Now, I always try to get permission with my upline if I still work with them, but if there's no one around, then absolutely I would latch on to any leader I could and take as much time that they'll give me if I was in that situation, Stefan.
Okay, so we have a question from Rachel. Rachel, I'm going to invite you to talk. If we're not successful, I'll ask your question for you, but it's kind of fun hearing all your voices.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you jump in there, Rachel?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Lovely. Well, thank you for this time, and thank you, Ty. Ty, look, I just want to ask the question, do you communicate monthly to your customers with an email newsletter, for example? How do you keep in touch with your customers and the frequency of that?
Good question. More often than every month. A lot more often than every month. I probably send, I would say 10 emails a month on average to my customers.
Okay.
Yeah. And toward the end of the month, if I'm running a special, I might send an email a day for 7 days in a row. But average over time, it would be 10 a month. And it's not like a elongated newsletter. Okay. Sometimes it's very simple. There's a special going on. And you really need, Manatech has launched a new product, or I'll do some research into Manatech products. So what is it? manatechscience.org. And there's a lot of really interesting information there on what you can say about particular products and some of the things that that we're allowed to say. So I would stick to that for sure. I never put any information in writing. I'll say it that way, and rarely in person, that doesn't come directly from Manatech, because we've been down that road at one point where they got into some trouble doing that. But email marketing could potentially change your volume by a massive amount. During the pandemic, we focused our marketing on immune system, and we grew by about 50% in our customers' volume.
Awesome.
I mean, massive, over a 3-month period of time, and it's continued upward. So topical emails for sure, but if you're questioning whether or not to send one email a month, you're not sending enough.
Great. Thank you.
And here's the fear. Oh, they're going to unsubscribe. Well, here's the reality. If you are emailing them less than once a week, they may not even know who you are when you're emailing them. So they're going to unsubscribe. So they may unsubscribe for other reasons beyond what we traditionally think about. Most people that understand email marketing email way more than people who don't understand it. and that's because it's profitable, and I would highly recommend. I think we did a presentation on how to structure some emails and things like that in the past, or talk I did before. But the easiest way to do it is to tell stories, and give thoughtful information. Think of it as like infotainment, so information but entertainment as well too. And that's how I try to treat the emails. But taking your customers, putting them into an email list, through like an autoresponder. I think there's free ones out there you can use, an email autoresponder.
Yeah.
Probably, if you've got customers, it's an insanely untapped place that you could create volume very, very quickly.
Thank you. And do you use? Are you able to? This is just because I haven't looked into this, but pre-write emails and some type of program sends them out, or do you write one every day?
Okay, so that's a good question. When I'm loading my customers into an autoresponder, typically what happens is I write one email that's automatically sent when they subscribe, and then after that, I would write them so that they're very topical. Like, I mean, if Manatech is running a special, and I loaded it into an autoresponder, which goes out over a set period of time, it may not be topical at that time. So I always try to stay up to date with what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I write them and send them pretty quickly after.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rachel.
And
I think
Ty, I'll just
Sharon
it's
has
Sharon.
Yep.
Yeah. I had a question come in via Messenger this week. I know we've been on, you did a whole call on emails about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
and you were going to send us some potential templates, but I've got a feeling that that was quite a big job. Is there any way you could give even some samples to people so that they could model your work?
Yes. And I apologize. Every time I thought about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get in there and do that. Yes, I can absolutely do that. I've got some great emails. I mean, I have to be careful. I'm not mad. Maybe I don't have to be careful.
No.
I wrote an email over the pandemic that did $4,000 in sales. One email. And here's the
I think
funny
everybody
part.
here would like to model you.
Here's the
Absolutely.
funniest part. The funniest part is that I sent the email and it did a few $100s. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then a guy I work with, internet marketer, goes, are you resending your emails to people who didn't open them and changing the headline? And I said, no. He goes, you should do that. And so I did it. And the email that was resent to the people that didn't open the first one was the one that did $4,000.
Are you
Now-
resending to non-openers and changing?
Yeah.
headline.
So changing the headline. So if I send an email at 8 o'clock in the morning and it goes out to people, then at 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever, anybody who didn't open it yet gets the same email, but I changed the headline, the subject line to something different. Maybe I think differently, whatever, just trying to pique their interest to get them to open that one. And lo and behold, I somehow hit, and we did a $4,000 email.
Awesome.
A lot of orders. I mean, it was an exciting day, right?
Yeah, wow.
And it's not rare. I mean, that number is rare, but getting several $100s in orders is not a rarity at all.
Well, the point is, Ty, you're in the game, right? You're communicating regularly.
Yes.
You know, that was, an awesome result, but it's like the tick over, those orders that are happening as a result of being in contact and communication.
Yeah. And again, it's think of infotainment. So stories mixed in with, like, I'll give you a good story example. Apparently there was a guy who mixed a concoction of Manatech products, and I think his name was Freddie, and they call it Freddie's Mud.
Correct.
You guys ever hear of the Freddie's Mud?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guess what I did? I wrote a little story about Freddie and his mud. And, because I'd heard, I'm like, you're not going to believe this, but this guy who, and I told a little bit of background from what I found out about him, mixed together some products, and apparently it works wonders for bruises and whatever. And, I mean, we got sales because it's interesting, like crazy mud. And I don't say cure ever, but you can see the kind of headline, Manatech's crazy mud or something along those lines. And people open it and read it. It's interesting. It's kind of fun. And then they buy, which is what we want.
So I have a question from that. And I know for everyone, we did, as Ty's mentioned, do a call that was specifically about email marketing. So if you go back to the archive, you'll find it there with an hour of detail. But I have a question right now, Ty. How do you what direction do you give people to convert them to go and make a sale? Do you just assume they go back to Manatech, their Manatech account? And
so your personal website, you
Okay.
can grab links to particular products in there now.
Okay, so do it that way.
Yeah,
So you put that in the email.
exactly.
Yeah.
And let me put it this way. Anytime I'm talking to a customer, they're going to get a link back to buying. Okay. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to pressure them. I don't want to, that's what it's for. Like if you get an email from Amazon.com, do you think they're going to not put their link to whatever they're talking to you? I mean, no, it's crazy. But yet we as as network marketers, we sometimes we don't sell enough.
Yeah.
We should. There's a time to sell, and I know we call it sharing, but it's sales.
Yeah.
It'd be really easy just to say, to make it quick and easy for you, here's the direct link. You take the work away from you or something like that.
Yeah. And I'll
So
put it 3 times in an email.
Yeah. So Kelly's asking, do you set up a cart? But it's not setting up a cart, is it? It's sending them the link. You know how there's you can send a preset cart. It's different to that, isn't it, that you're referring to?
Yeah, there's a couple of, I have done the cart thing, and I've used, there's a third party over here. I think it might be over there too. That Ray Robbins' son.
No, we don't. I don't think we have the third party option.
That's good too. So sometimes the carts have been clanky over the years. It's been a contention.
Yeah.
For a long time. But yeah, I think it's getting better, and I think you can send people directly to a product or a series, like a section of the product line, that kind of thing. You want to get them as close to what you're talking about as possible. When I did the Freddy's Mud thing, it was a little bit different. So I linked like 3 products together, and it was okay though. It worked out good.
Okay, so there's a question here from Irene. I'm going to let you ask that, Irene, if you can. I'm just inviting you to talk. If it doesn't work, I'll ask it for you. Can you talk, Irene? No. So Irene's saying about the email where you did extraordinary sales. She's just wondering if those emails are to pre-existing Manatech customers or if you're emailing potential new customers on your list.
These would have been all my current customers. So people that have purchased from me in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Getting $4,000 in sales cold from people. Yeah. One is, don't cold email people that you don't know. That's probably a good disclaimer. But people that have bought from me over time, yeah, those are the folks that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And I do have different lists. Like I have people who have bought in the last 6 months, people who bought in the last 12 months, people who that bought on as distributors, but really they appear more to be customers. So I try to segment those as best I can. And then of course I have a list of my distributors and leaders and that kind of thing that I communicate with as well too. But yeah, segmenting those people into different lists allows you to better communicate with each one. I've got people who have bought larger quantities of products that I might offer some sort of a special. If they buy this, I'll send them this for free. And don't be afraid to like think outside the box a little bit. I mean, like if someone buys $500 worth of products from you, like don't be afraid to send them a free product, right? You're gonna get paid. I'm trying to think of it, like 20% on the $500 in volume. If it's a new customer, I think that's right.
Yeah.
So one small gift or a Starbucks card, or like I said, I don't know exactly if you can even go to Starbucks right now in Australia, right? You're kind of locked down. But little things to your customers can make a big difference. And if I've got someone who's been on auto order for 12 months, I might send them a personal handwritten note and thank them for their orders and include a little gift. These kind of things set you apart from the average person in such a big way. Most people just let the company do the follow-up, which is okay in some ways, but anything you can do to stand apart. Like a friend of mine said, if in marketing, if someone is using a white background on their graphics, I want to use orange. So if the masses are doing one thing, in other words, he's saying, I'm going to do something else to stand apart. Now I'm talking about in marketing, not in duplication, if that makes sense.
All right. So any final questions, as we're coming up to the top of the hour here? Here's your chance.
Morning.
Oh,
Hey.
one.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just be around for a couple hours. And I'll go.
Just look and mute whoever that is, Dana.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
Stefan,
fine.
I'd say.
Yeah, just mute him.
There we go.
It's hard to remember that you're.
This is new logistics, Ty.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
brand new.
I quite like having the community jump in, though. It's good.
No, it's great.
Yeah, I love hearing from people. It's great.
Yeah.
I do have one last question, Ty. For people who are inspired by your coaching today, what would you advise them in regards to a real easy to learn startup email autoresponder system?
I think Aweber is pretty good. And I think they have a free version. If you have under like 500 people or under 250 people on your list, it's free. So when you start, the nice thing about companies like Aweber is when you start growing your list, they start charging you more. But if your list is larger, you can afford to pay a little bit more. So aweber.com, AWEBER.com.
Great. And so people can get started at the place that they're at. And we might need to come back and refresh your email marketing coaching with people. I can see all the questions popping up. Sadly, I'm on my phone right now, but I can see the questions.
I'm happy to come back and do that. And I would promise by the end of that call, we'll have available a packet of at least 10 solid emails that they could take and steal and use and that kind of thing. How's that sound?
That's fantastic. So expect 1 minute after this call ends to receive my invitation for.
Okay. It's such a big, it's underused in all of network marketing. I'm telling you right now. Email is such an underused tool. And you think, oh, email's been around forever. Yeah, it has. But believe me, if you just take a little bit of time to learn how to craft an email that's interesting to your market, it could change your business. It's changed ours for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when we set that up, go ahead, Dana.
I was just going to say it's customer service, but it also relates to the principle that a lot of new business comes from your current customers.
Yeah.
And I know there's an 80-20 rule. I don't know if it's that much, but a big percentage of new business or new purchases or increased purchases comes from the current customer base, right?
Yeah. And it's just keeping in contact with those people. And you can do a lot of great things with it. And I saw a question come up that said, would you use email or a Facebook group? They're just dynamically different things. So I would definitely be creating an email list of my customers and associates and that kind of thing. But different than anything I do on Facebook, if that makes sense.
All right.
So that's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, Dana, you go wrap it up. And Ty, once again, and everybody, apologies for my technical challenge today, but what a great team we have.
Such a pleasure. And it was so funny, Sharon. At 3:01, I get, oh, the time's changed. It's now. I'm like, oh boy, I better put down my peanut butter and honey sandwich and get on.
Oh my God.
I was still
every time at change of the daylight savings. Every year I
was still trying to get crumbs out of my teeth. So hopefully I don't have any.
Ty, thank you so much. And I must apologize. I was completely scrambling at the beginning. And then thank you, Gary, for jumping in with the first question. But in all that, we missed appropriately introducing you. So I apologize because you are a master in the industry, clearly a generous heart to our community. And we really appreciate your time and contribution to our Australasian family this morning.
It is no worries, and it's always a pleasure, and it's really cool that you guys have this community. I pretty much say it every time, but you're absolutely blessed to have this ability to connect on a regular basis.
Well, we look forward to having you back very soon. Sharon's going to be on it.
I look forward to it, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
great day.
everyone.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
rest of your Saturday. Bye-bye.